Oh, the
Great.
hash. I'm just going to announce real quick. Good morning, everybody. The hashtag today for the giveaway for Killed Mosquito is Carnivore is hashtag sexy.
I love it. I love it. That's the vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you start the day, Miss Alia?
What do I say? It's going to
Well,
be
welcome,
so nice to meet you. So nice to
welcome
meet
to the
you
live.
today. And tell us a little about yourself and your story and how you came into this universe with us.
Yeah, I just feel so grateful to have found out about this world because I struggled for so long, like so many people, with being overweight and unhealthy in lots of different ways. I used to have asthma, eczema, and over the years, I tried so many different things, such as veganism and vegetarianism and thinking that I'm making myself healthier, I'm making myself better, this is better for me. And of course, it never worked out that way. And then eventually, I just decided to create my own version. I was aware of keto, but I just kind of knew the carbs aren't great. Vegetables are good for you, I thought at the time, and you need a bit of protein, but you shouldn't eat too much meat. So I created my own little 2 meal plan of eggs and veg for breakfast, and then I would have some sort of chickpeas, spinach, and a mass of vegetables for lunch. And thought, I'm really doing my best here with this with this plan. And it was only accidentally in almost 2 years ago now, I came across a video on YouTube, as many people do. And it wasn't one of the normal carnivore doctors. It was a woman, Lisa D, and she normally does lifestyle videos. But on this video, it had something very intriguing in the title about eating meat and how it transformed her health. And so I looked at this video and the penny just dropped. And I just thought, of course, meat, what our ancestors ate. That's where all the nutrients are. And of course, after that, at the same day, I went out, I did my shopping, I had my, spinach in the fridge, I chucked it out. I had my hummus in there. I thought, do you know what, I'll finish the hummus. And I was eating the hummus with steak. And then I just transitioned into carnivore, and that's been it ever since.
And what changes did you see in your life since switching from a plant-based to a animal-based diet?
I think one of the big ones is just how I feel about life and my feeling in the world. I get up, I feel excited to be here and to have another glorious day. And I'm not saying I was depressed or anything before, but I feel that I'm more myself. When I eat the food, I feel like the cells in my body are getting excited and they're soaking up all the nutrients. Whereas before with the vegetables, I didn't have that feeling. In fact, sometimes I would be hungry. It was a um, constant struggle against myself. Didn't feel like I was at one. But in carnivore, I feel at one. I feel that I'm doing the right thing. It's like my cells are speaking to me.
I have a question that
Yeah,
I get often. I'm sure Dr. Kills gets often also.
yeah.
How do you get your antioxidants?
Well, I have listened to a lot on this, and what I know is that every single nutrient, vitamin, mineral that we need is in the meat. and the other animal foods that we eat. It's in the meat and the other animal foods. Now, antioxidants have been discovered, and maybe they do antioxidize, but the plant toxins affect people differently. I was listening to an interview recently, yesterday in fact, and it was a woman who had lupus, and she was from, is it called, not the first generation of Canadians, what, the original Canadians? She had that ancestry. I'm not sure of the wording she used. She had that ancestry of the original Canadians, and she was suffering so badly, and she went onto this vegetable diet. She was growing her own vegetables, didn't have pesticides, etc. She was trying to be healthy, but because of her biology, because of her genetics, those vegetables were extremely toxic to her. Now, vegetables, as we know now, are toxic to everybody, but some people's genetics can deal with that toxicity, and maybe they can get some goodness out of them. But that is the garnish. That is not the primary source of nutrients, proteins, vitamins, minerals. Everything we need for health, for vitality, is in meat, fat, and animal products. So I hope I didn't go too much off the topic there. Did I answer the question?
I have a question. What about your menstrual cycle? Is it better? Is it worse?
Yeah. Well, this is another thing. I'm glad you brought this up, because the fat is so important for women. When I first went on the carnivore diet, of course, I was low fat before. Well, I used to sprinkle olive oil on everything, but really now what we know, the fat that we need for our hormones, for our balancing, for our brains, for every cell in our body needs the fat. And so when I started this, I was approaching the age of menopause. Now, I had a later menopause, but things settled down. Now, I wish I'd known about this years ago, because in 2018, and this will be relevant to the latest story, I found out I had fibroids. And apparently over 80% of women have fibroids by the time they get to 50 plus. And the medical teams tell you that it's okay, it's nothing to worry about, it's benign, you just carry on, or if they're causing you too much inconvenience, you can have them removed. But of course they can grow back. And I knew about this, and I wasn't sure what to do. I hadn't found carnivore at that stage. I thought that, because everything they blame on red meat, I thought it was something to do with red meat. I had cut down my red meat. I was eating all the vegetables, and the fibroids were just getting bigger. But that did cause a problem later on. So I think anybody who has fibroids or uterine growths or anything going on in that area that is growing things that are not supposed to be growing, carnivore, or at least a ketovore, low carb in any case, is such a gift, because it helps to get things back into get things back onto schedule and make things move. So before I started on carnivore, I had the fibroids and I had very heavy periods. And after I started, it wasn't long before I had a diagnosis which really changed things for me, and changed the way that I did carnivore as well.
Wow. That's great. By the way, you don't look of age to be in menopause.
Thank you. The carnivore glow.
Carnivore glow, exactly. You look so young and youthful.
Oh, thank you. Excuse me.
The uterine fibroids are so common. You're right, Stephanie. Yeah. So thank you. And my daughter had one, and she was healthy and didn't meet the criteria, as they say, 6 centimeters. But we see so many fibroids, adenomyosis, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, And then, just thyroid disease is so common. Is it just simply the plants that are the poisons and we don't have to argue about anything else?
I think it's a mixture of things. There's so many toxins in our foods. There's so many toxins in the environment. There's toxins in our clothes that go into our skin, in our beauty products. But I think food is the big one. We can change so much if we just change food. Because if you think we're eating all this toxic food and living in this toxic environment, and we're still living, and our bodies are they're so magical that they're fighting off all these toxins. And many of us, it takes decades before we actually become ill. So I do think the plants are bad, especially obviously the sugar, the carbs, it's all sugar. All of those sugars, flours, pastas, breads, and then the other plants that we talked about, the vegetables, the fruits, yes, can be toxic. Some people can tolerate, as I said, but many people can't.
Why happy, sexy health?
Yes. Well, I think we called it Happy Sexy Health, my sister and I, when we started this up, because it is about living this happy life. It is about the vibes that you said. And sexiness is all about the vibrancy, the energy, the life force. And so that was the message that we wanted to bring out there, that you bring out your inner life force, no matter what your age, what you have going on, that you have that energy about you. So that's the happy, sexy, and of course, health, the greatest gift and the greatest wealth that all of us, have.
How can people, what about those people that they just don't believe this? Is it just like one moment you wake up and you go like, oh, I see this.
Yes.
What is it? 'Cause I talk to a lot of, all sorts of different believers.
Yeah.
And is it just one moment you go like, okay, I see it now, or is there something we can do to help our brothers and sisters see it sooner?
Well, I think it's both. I didn't see it for all of those years, and I was looking, I was searching. And so I think we can help people see it. One, by being the example of it. They see us, vibrating with energy and health, and now, fitness, and slimness in my case, because in the UK, I used to be a UK size 20, and now I'm a UK size 10, which I believe is a size 6 in the United States.
Wow,
From
wow.
a 16 to a 6 in US money. And so people see that, and that was gradually over time through keto and then through carnivore. But what I love about carnivore is it's so easy to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
I can eat, I can fill myself up, I can eat fat, I can eat meat. It feels good, and it's not a struggle. And over the 2 years that I've been doing it, I used to be a really sugar addict. So I would be carrying along with my 2 meals, the greens and all the rest of it at home. And then I would go somewhere and they would have cake there. And then on the way home, I would buy a mountain of sweets. Or, there was so many times where it just felt like a struggle to say no to things. But on carnivore, it's just, that has just released. I know things go in cycles, so you can never say never. But at the moment, I just go about my business and I never feel the slightest inkling to eat anything that I don't want to eat.
I love that.
I
Sorry.
totally agree with you about the sustainability and everything that you just mentioned. And if you deal with people that may be on the borderline, they're not convinced,
Yeah.
and I'm reminded a young woman I was talking to a few months ago, telling her about low carb. She already has a diagnosis of PCOS.
Yes.
I'm talking to someone in her 20s, and the first thing that she said to me was, "Well, it's not sustainable."
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, just going back to that question, how do you persuade people, or how do you let people know? So one part of it I mentioned is be the inspiration, which you all are. And this is a good point, Nelson. So I like to start off now, instead of starting off with the low carb, because people sometimes think that is a fad, I start off with the bit that they already know or they've heard something about. So most women over 40, 50 and beyond have now heard in the mainstream that they need to eat more protein. They've heard that, and they know that longevity, it makes you stronger, it makes you live longer. You know, something like your muscle strength is a big part of your longevity. And so I can start there and say, every single one of us who wants to have that fitness in older age, who wants to have that longevity, needs to eat more protein. And I can point to all these mainstream doctors who say that. Then I come to fats and I say, to create the hormones, to create hormonal balance in your body, for your body to do what it wants to do, it needs to have fat. And it's not just any fat, it's the fat that naturally comes with meat and animal foods. Those are the fats that we need to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, it creates our mental health. It protects our brain, it protects our nerves, it protects our mind and sheath. It reverses a lot of these diseases. So I tell them, yes, proteins are essential, and we go through the proteins that are essential. We go through the fats are essential. They're doing all these amazing things in your body. The only food group that is not essential and is entirely optional is carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. And then once I get there, I then go on to explain that we can only manage 6 grams of sugar at any one time in our body. And we're eating so much more with our healthy, excuse me, in inverted commas, breakfast, cereal, toast, pasta for lunch, sandwiches. Every meal is a carb fest where our sugar is going up and we cannot burn fat. And most people are interested in that. And that is why so many of us, over 90%, have some sort of metabolic dysfunction. And so many of us, over 76%, are overweight and obese, especially 40 upwards. And people then start to think, they start to get a bit curious.
So when we say carbohydrates, what is a carbohydrate? Where's it come from?
Well, it does come from plants, but it is a sugar, basically. They're all sugars.
Well, why don't we just say plants?
Yes, we could say plants. We could say plants.
Because when we use a term like carbohydrates,
Yes.
It's sort of like a word that I like. Well, I mean, a carbohydrate is a potato and it's not a tomato. Is that right?
Yeah. No. Well, carbohydrate is both.
So shouldn't we? I'm always working. Well, shouldn't we just say plants? Because heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine come from plants.
Yes.
And what toxic chemical comes from a cow?
Yeah, none. But the thing is, you have to bring people with you, Dr. Kiltz. And I find if you say, don't eat any plants, plants are toxic, people switch off. Mm-hmm. It's too far. I think you should say that. You should definitely say that. But I think when I'm just speaking to somebody at the beginning, I like to take them on a bit of a journey.
Because I think you're right. So now I got to go look in more about it because I'm confused. And I don't know what a carbohydrate is, because the question is, do animal cells contain carbohydrates?
Well, some of the animal products do contain some carbohydrates.
All
of them.
All cells of all animals, all organisms contain sugars.
Yeah.
This
it's
is
just that the amounts are not the same as you find in in the plants.
And
But
the the quality are different.
Yes.
They're different sugars, which I but I agree with you. I'm throwing out a little bit of sort of, you know, side spins here. That's part of my job. And Dr. Nelson does the same thing. He throws side spins at Kiltsy. And so tell us a little bit about some stories in some of your clients that have like, okay, Steph, I don't believe you. You're wrong. And then they go like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the most exciting thing about this whole life for me. We used to coach people in property, mentor people, coach people, do all the mindset work, get people. But it's so satisfying to do this for health, because so I'll tell you first. Our first ever person who we helped was my mom, and my mom is in her 70s, and she was walking. A few years ago, it's going to be more than 3 or 4, but she started walking and using a Fitbit. And in recent years, unbeknownst to us until recently, she was taking, you know, a lot of painkillers every day to be able to keep walking, and she didn't want to give up the walking. And I hadn't really directed her to go low carb. In the past, I had sort of directed them that they should reduce their meat, etc. So I suppose I felt a bit sheepish there. Anyway, I tell them what I'm doing. They know what I'm doing. But then my mum called me and she said that she had a glaucoma, and that her doctor told her, or her eye specialist told her, she could go blind, and that they can't do anything for now, but they're just going to laser her eye. Well, I nearly flew down the phone because I said, Mom, don't let them touch your eyes, because I've heard so many stories of people having their eyes lasered and losing their sight, not due to the disease, but due to the lasering. And I said, look, you're going to need to go low carb. If glaucoma is high blood sugar. If your blood sugar is normal, the disease won't progress, and sometimes people find the disease reverses. So she started doing it. To my surprise, she hopped on it straight away. And she went to the shop and she started blowing up the family WhatsApp with pictures of her meat foods and all that. And what she found was that she felt better. And she also, that was the big one. Because people don't realize, when you say, I stopped taking my painkillers, that was such a big deal. Because every day she was worried about her health, because the pain was so bad in her knees. It was a joint pain. The pain was so bad in her knees. She wanted to walk, and she felt like her life energy was going, because when you start to realize, I might not be able to do these things, I'm in so much pain. She was taking all those painkillers, and within a few weeks, she was taking no painkillers at all. She no longer takes the painkillers. That was massive. She also, she said her back fat went. So she just found that some of her belly fat just dropped off. And she wasn't at all, calorie counting or anything of that nature. She was just eating whatever she wanted to eat, as much as she wanted. And so that was a big change for her.
We hear those stories frequently among this community, I guess. But when we talk to patients or talk to other people, when we're talking to just any other one and recounting those stories, it's unbelievable. And
it is unbelievable.
Most of the time, until they experience it themselves, is not when it clicks. But chronic pain is one of the things that improves. we've been taught for such a long time that red meat is inflammatory, causes inflammation, but when we remove the plants, we realize inflammation goes down
Yes.
when you have an animal-based diet. But the fat, oh my God, you cannot eat so much fat,
Yeah.
and it's so important.
It's so important. And let me tell you a story about the fat, Nelson. This is a very good point, because when I first started carnivore, I was eating. I thought this is the best thing ever, because I was having bacon and eggs for breakfast, and then my second meal of the day I would have steak and eggs or steak and prawns. It was steak and something, and that was how I carried on for a long time. But then in January of 2024. In January of 2024, I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. Quite an aggressive form of cancer, quite a hidden form. Life expectancy is not too good. 5-year life expectancy is 15%, 1.5. Anyway, so I was diagnosed with that, and I was new to carnivore at that time. I'd only just started a few months earlier, but I was so grateful to have that, because otherwise, who knows what situation I would be in now if I didn't know about carnivore. But there was the next step, because there's something called therapeutic ketosis. Therapeutic ketosis. You've probably heard Dr. Thomas Seyfried talk about. And other doctors talk about the therapeutic ketosis and the importance of getting into therapeutic ketosis now. It's quite challenging on a normal carnivore diet. For many of us on the carnivore diet, I suppose I can't say many, but for some people on the carnivore diet, depending on their biology, they're not going to be in ketosis at all, or they're going to be in very low levels of ketosis.
18 months cancer-free.
Oh, that's brilliant! I'm so happy for you, Nelson. Oh, that's amazing. What did you do?
Well, it was a tumor in the bladder, and I went to my urologist. I went through I had the tumor removed, and then Thanksgiving 2023, and then they had the treatments 6 weeks every week. I included fasting 2 days before and 2 days after my treatments for 6 consecutive weeks. And some of those fasting were fasting mimicking diet. So I had small amounts of mostly fat or very little protein. But basically, I incorporated fasting and a bunch of other things that Dr. Seyfried talks about. This, I think, is helped, definitely helped. And my urologist thinks that he did it all with his treatment. I think I helped. And so far, 3 cystoscopies, a CAT scan, and multiple urine tests later, everything is still negative.
That's amazing. It's so inspiring to hear. I'm so pleased with that story. It just lifts my heart. So what I found was, because I wasn't really in ketosis previously, I did what you were talking about. I suppose it is a version of the fasting mimicking diet. I found that to be with a GKI of under 2, I could only do it a certain way. And what got me into it was doing fat fasting, like you're talking about. You only eat fat for 3 days, and I found, wow, my GKI. That's, for people who don't know, it's the glucose, your glucose number divided by your ketones number needs to come out to, well, some people say under 2, some people say under 3. The lower it is, the better.
Yeah, and it's not easy to go into the high therapeutic ketosis levels.
Well, that's why I got into it with the 3-day fat fast. And I was so keen to stop the fat fast after 3 days. I enjoyed it, but what I did was I then started eating the ratio from the Paleolithic Ketogenic Diet, which is 100 grams of meat with 35 grams of fat. So that's not 100 grams of protein, obviously. 100 grams of meat with 35 grams of fat. So I found I can eat 200 grams of meat with 70 grams of fat. And sometimes I add on, like I'll have the meat and eggs and the fat, a bit of extra fat. And I can add in a bit of bacon every now and again. But that works for me, that I can stay consistently under 3 and many times under 2, which I'm obviously hope is helping me. But in some cancers, I believe, and I think this is one of them, they're not as glucose focused. So even though you could be very low on glucose, they are still very adaptive to other things, which must be the glutamine, or I don't know the other sources. So it's ongoing. But I'm so grateful that we have this open to us, that we know that we're not reliant on just the doctors and the treatment, because they've already told you that if you use all of their treatments, with it, in my case, within 5 years, you're likely to be dead. So you have to do something else.
Stephanie, so would you recommend fasting for everyone?
I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for everyone. I think it depends where people are on their journey, and for some people, if they're still in the SAD diet or not very far away from that, then it might be too big a leap to go straight to fasting. I think the sort of fasting that everyone can do is called eating meals. You know, you eat meals, no snacks. That's the sort of fasting that everyone can aim towards. That sort of intermittent fasting. And then as people get more advanced, they can go on to longer fasts. And I find, even for myself, obviously I'm the same person. In the past I've done longer fasts, and I found that quite okay.
What's your longest fast?
Oh, it's not very long. It was 7 days that I did, and the first 3 or 4, the last one I did, the first 3 or 4 days was so easy, and the last 3 days was such a struggle that I think I gave myself a little bit of trauma. And so now I don't feel as keen on fasting. But I do think it is good for people, and I do intermittent fast. So I just eat, because I eat a small amount. I eat 1 meal a day. So I do have that 23/24-hour fast every day. And if I need chemo again, I will start fasting around the chemo as well.
So the 1 meal a day is one of the most powerful things we can do.
Oh, good.
I hear singing going on in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
They're doing some building work upstairs, and
We love it. We love it. We're all doing work. We love it. Don't leave us, Stephanie. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. We appreciate you. So the fasting, I mean, I think that the 23-1 is one of the best things that we can do. If you could push it out to 2 to 3 days, it like adds some other layers. But and then if you go to 5 to 7, we're gonna do a 5-day fast in April. So join us, anyone and everyone out there. I think it's one of those, it's food freedom. I mean, this is one of the beautiful things we're in a world of addiction, and maybe you could talk about sort of our addictions of food and how propaganda and marketing may be part of the problem.
yeah, I think this is a really good point, Dr. Kiltz, about addiction. Now, just going back to what you just said, I love that you're doing a fast and that you're having it as a part of a community. I think there's nothing more powerful than going through that program. And when you're having your highs, you can join in the community, and when you're having your lows, other people can buoy you up. So yes, I will look out for that, because it might get me back onto longer fasting, which I know is so beneficial. But addiction is so powerful, and I think that we are all have the potential to be addicted to sugar, because our bodies and our hormones all say eat more, 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 because like bears in the summertime, we need to get fat for the winter, but then it's just all year round and constant. And as a Black woman as well, you know, I noticed that African Americans, Black British people, we're so much more likely to be overweight, diabetic, sick, and have so much worse health outcomes. And this addiction is a huge, huge part of it. And what I just want to say to people is, absolutely, you can do it. When I was in the midst of eating a normal diet, I felt addicted. I could feel it, because sometimes I would be having an argument with myself about leaving the house to buy sugar, sweets, and other things, and I would actually go out, and I thought that is powerful, because I've left my house specifically late at night, specifically to go out and buy this, and that's the hold it has over you. And that's why I love the idea of food freedom. And the freedom is not the freedom to eat anything you want, it's the freedom to live the life you want without that hold over you. And it happens step by step and process by process. And you just got to love yourself through it. Of course, you're not likely to do it in one go. Maybe there's going to be slip-ups. Maybe there's going to be lessons. Probably, likely, there will be slip-ups and lessons. But after a couple of years, or for some people much even less, it feels so easy doing carnivore. This feels like the food freedom. This feels like the life freedom. And this feels like something I never, ever expected. I used to look at people who were slim or normal weight and think, how would they do that? And now I'm one of them, and people say to me, well, how do you do that?
And ultimately, it's likely true there's nothing wrong with any of us, but we're just in an environment that is not our natural ancient habitat. And so we're doing what comes natural. If and when there's food, you better eat it, because your brain says none tomorrow.
Yes. And especially sugar, because we know all the calories, and we know we can put fat on, and our body wants us to put fat on. But the other thing you said there was the primal thing, that it's not just food. And when we do our 21-day, we call it a primal body reset. We talk food is the biggest pillar, but it's also so important: sleep, sunlight, walking, water, and gratitude. And gratitude, the last one, is so powerful. Sorry, that seems to be getting louder.
We're okay. No. We keep going. Listen, we're here with you, and we see. This is an important thing. We live around the light noises.
Yeah.
And so keep going. We're enjoying this. This is really powerful.
Okay, good. I'm leaning into the computer because gratitude, there's been so much research done to say that when you reflect on what you're grateful for each day, your health improves, you're more likely to live longer, you're more likely to be stronger, you're more likely to be happier. It's like it changes our thoughts. Well, our thoughts change the cells in our body. And so that we bring all those elements into it, and it creates sort of a loving relationship with yourself as you go through the changes, and you come out the other side with great results.
Yeah, Adrian, honestly, I feel a little angry because I think we have been lied to about health food in most of our life. What do we do? How do we reset or direct our anger at what is?
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? It can be so frustrating because as well, when you try to let people know, you get dog's abuse. But how can you redirect our anger? I think into well, first of all, putting on your own oxygen mask and taking that anger and creating the best health you can from all of the things you know, and gradually implementing them, because it can feel a little bit overwhelming at first because you think, well, there's food. Great, I got that sorted. But then you realize that all of the soaps and health products, beauty products that we're using every day on our skin, well, many of them are toxic to our bodies. So really, we ought to do something there. All of the cleaning products are toxic. We ought to do something there. The government is lying. The health institutions are, let's say, they're incentivized to make money, and they make money from the pharmaceutical companies who are incentivized for us all to be sick. So I think the anger can be righteous, and it can be fired into making ourselves the healthiest we can be, and also spreading the message and spreading the word and putting it out there and letting people know, and not being cowed when people say this is rubbish, this is wrong. I go out there specifically because I don't want anyone going out on a vegan diet thinking it's healthier. I don't mind if they know it's not healthier, but they want to save the animals, fair play. But I don't want anyone out there being on a vegan diet thinking it's healthier, because that's what I did. And so I put out some messaging to say, some countries have made feeding a vegan diet to your babies illegal.
Yeah.
And I put out some posts about that, and that how these babies had died. And then I had all these comments saying people should be able to feed their kids what they want. And I said no, because babies cannot thrive, and toddlers, they cannot grow their brains, they cannot grow their bones, they cannot grow their hearts, they cannot grow and thrive without animal protein. And that is just a biological fact. So we cannot say people can do whatever they like. They can't. They need to know that the healthy way to look after your baby is to feed animal protein.
Animal fat.
Yeah.
And that's because fat, because we know what fat is.
Yeah.
We know what muscle meat is. We need organ meats. We know what those are. But fat is just like so obvious. And it's the most obvious thing we're not eating.
Yeah.
And if you simply add animal fat to your diet, you will heal. And organ meats, I think, are really one of the most important things. I've got 2 comments, one from Selena Primal Health on Instagram. You have to learn forgiveness and the ability that people are only reacting to you from the programming that they are stuck in.
Yes.
But they can move.
Yeah.
And David Devoki from Kill Mighty Tribe, be the change. This is from Gandhi. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this is redirecting your anger as energy to be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Be the change you want to see. I love both of those comments. Selena and who was the other person?
Selena and David.
Selena and David. Yeah, a great comment. And that's exactly why I love being part of your tribe and being part of the wider carnivore community, because there's so much energy, there's so much love, there's so much vibrancy, so much health. And we're all working on the same journey to heal and to spread the word so that the whole world can heal as well.
So Brandy Bell.
I'm trying to heal. She says she's trying to heal her anxiety and depression with carnivore, experiencing lots of tiredness and tingling all over my body. I can't think half the time. I'm 37. We've been chatting in the comments. She was doing OMAD, but eating what she wanted. So I'm glad she's back here with us in the carnivore space, because that can help. All of this can be helped, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Stephanie?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as Dr. Kiltz has said, and as Dr. Nelson mentioned, the fat is so important. Eat the meat, but the fat is also important. And as I found, to get into ketosis, which obviously can help with mental health as well, the meat and the fat, just nourish yourself and love yourself through it.
That's right.
Can you talk about the power of mindset and faith and spirituality and our connectiveness to that higher power? And some people call it God.
Yeah. As you said, as you asked that question, I just felt tingling all over, because I do believe we are all connected, and things, you can feel it all over. I'll talk a bit about the mindset first, because when I was diagnosed with the stage 4 cancer, I experienced every kind of emotion, about thinking about death and the end of life much sooner than, planned, anticipated, whatever you want to call it. And also, I came into contact with other people who were going through similar things, which I hadn't really been at close quarters with before. And I could really see the difference between the people who want to live until they die and the people who start dying early.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mindset thing. And it is something that some people biologically or genetically or inherently within them, they just have a more optimistic, it's easier for them to be more optimistic. But it's something that we can all learn. And so I find I just focused on, some people focus on, I'm not going to die. I couldn't do that because it didn't feel like the truth. Or I'm not going to die now. I focused on that I'm going to live the best life I can while I'm here. I'm going to make the most of this. I'm going to do everything I can. So that feels so much better for me. So I open myself up to things could happen that you weren't expecting, which is always true. But I just opened myself up to it. Whereas at the beginning, I was very resistant to that. So that really worked for me. But everybody finds the little thing that worked for them, and just understand the power of what you think in your mind really goes into the cells of your body and really affects how you feel in your health. And I don't want people to think that I'm always positive. Obviously, I'm not. And I have my down days. But overall, I feel the positive mindset helps. That's the first thing on the mindset. And the second thing is that the spiritual and, thinking about God is all around us every day. So the sun is so important in every aspect of our body. And that's something I learned more since coming into the carnivore community. Putting yourself outside. I live in the UK, it's always cold here, and it's usually cold here, and the sun's not putting in much of an appearance, but we can still get outside and feel that sun in our eyes and on our face, feel the light. And the other thing is grounding, you know, being out in nature, putting your bare feet on the earth. All of these things are so much more powerful than we've ever been taught to realize. So I think consciously changing your mind and also appreciating everything that God's put on this earth in nature for us to thrive.
Do any of us know how long we're going to be here?
No.
Forever.
Yes,
Don't feel
yes.
it's gonna be here forever.
So
Forever.
I concentrate on trying to, like you said, live my best life, and try to be the healthiest possible. Today, my grandson is 18 months.
Oh,
And yesterday we went around the block for a walk, and he was holding my hand, and I that's the best thing.
yeah. Having those little hands in yours, it's beautiful. I hope my son makes me a grandmother, but he's showing no signs at the moment. So
He will.
Dr.
He
Fields,
will.
I always say in this life, I'm going to live to 101 with full physical and mental capacities available to me. And then I'm just one night going to go to sleep when I'm ready. And that's it.
yeah.
It's all a dream.
Yeah.
So the dream could be whatever you want.
Right.
And since energy is neither created nor destroyed, as they say, that's our story. I imagine we already are the energy of forever. It's just the natural part of it. What's the question there,
So it's
Nelson?
from Jonathan Carnivore Muscle. If you were to order your top 5 health optimization tools interventions, what would they be for the average person? Stephanie.
Yeah. Well, this is a great question. I'm not gonna put eat in it. Eat is my first one. I think the food is phenomenal, but we're already there because we're all on this carnivore journey. So number 2, I would say, is sleep. So important for healing and resting and helping our bodies to thrive the way they're meant to be. Walk, I put. Everybody should walk. Now, ideally, people should do some strength training of some kind, whether it's body weight or otherwise, to keep that strength as they age. But if somebody's going from doing absolutely nothing at all, or they're weak, or they're not feeling, they should do the exercises that can enable them, if it's possible for them, to start walking and then to walk, and then strength train. Now, water, I'm not one of those who believes that every single human should be drinking over 2 liters a day. I don't believe that that's what our ancestors did. However, I do believe it's important to hydrate, and many of us may miss out on that. So to go by your thirst and to, build up to an amount that you feels right for you. And the other one that I mentioned is the gratitude. Now, people may want to do it as meditation or different sorts of things, but I think for everybody who's not into meditation or different things can understand gratitude. And I think to not overwhelm people, in the 21-day reset, we have it so that you have one thing that you're grateful for. And when you think of one, you obviously usually think of more. But we have so much to be grateful for. Many of us watching this video live in the richest countries in the world and have so much and don't even realize what we have, even to be able to watch a program like this. And so that gratitude, there's so much research. If you go on the PubMed and put in gratitude, there's so much research. They call it vitamin G, because it does so much for your body, for your longevity, for your mind. And it's just so worthwhile doing it if you're not doing that already. I would love to hear yours. I would love to hear yours.
Oh, as soon as you said that, I thought my children. I'm so grateful for my children. They teach me every day. They get on your nerves, but they give you so much love. This is yesterday. My daughter made this, and she wanted me to write in English because she speaks Spanish and I speak Spanish. My artwork so that my mom would understand it when we called her.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So
Alia?
Yeah.
Do we have any questions there?
Yeah, we do have a couple questions, but Stephanie asked, what are you guys grateful for? She asked, what are we grateful for?
Everything.
Here we go. Here's the next question. How long has Stephanie been carnivore?
Hey Robin, Carnivorous Grandma, I've actually watched your videos, and so great to see you on the live. And I've been carnivore for 2 years, and as I say, it's really helped me with my health in general, but I couldn't be where I am now with the cancer without having this carnivore approach to eating and what it's taught me about the rest of primal health.
Nice. Okay, so let's see. Next question. Oh, I'm trying to. Here we go. Has Mitch old guy been to your health clinic, doc, recuperating from his stroke? No, Dr. Kills is a fertility clinic.
No. We're everything. We care for all people. So when we talk about healthcare, it's human care, and that's what Dr. Nelson and Kill Somebody Tribe and all of this. But yes,
Kilt's health went to him.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's Dr. Nelson went. I went. We've been to our meetups with and so that's. I mean, these meetups. Tell us about your meetups. Are you guys getting any local gatherings together?
Yeah, well, Dr. Kiltz, we met at the Healing Humanity meetup in Essex, and that was such a phenomenal meeting. I love the energy of being around other carnivores because it's such an unusual thing here in the UK, still much more. So let me say, on the meetups, we have a Facebook group which is all about all the UK carnivore meetups. There aren't as many in the UK, and I don't want to miss them. So if any, I saw that we did have somebody from the UK listening, George, I think it was, who's going to start going on the grass at the park near him doing grounding. So George and anybody from the UK, the Facebook group is called, let me see here. It's called the UK Carnivore. It's called the UK Carnivore Event Hub on Facebook, and join that group. And we're just curating all of the UK carnivore meetups. I love a meetup.
Can I join that group even though I'm not in the UK?
No. Yes. Yes.
Because I want to do. Dr. Abs wants to do a meetup with Dr. Kiltz, and I need to plan that. So
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
Next year.
Brilliant. And so you definitely want to put that in that group. And the other thing that I would love is if people have from the UK, because I want to tell some Brit stories. If anybody from the UK has had a good health result with carnivore or ketovore, they reverse different illnesses and everything, I would love you to please get in touch with me because I'm doing a little video series, which is all going to be Brits talking about carnivore, their personal stories.
Great. There's a lot of. Yes, next question.
Go.
Next question. I'm on the wrong tab. Did you eat on your fat fasting days?
Oh, great question, Christy. And on my fat fasting, I was very in a difficult place because I don't like eating the rendered fat. And in the British meats, even the so-called fatty ribeyes don't have a lot of fat. and it's hard to, at my local butchers I couldn't buy fat, and so what I did was I went to I found somewhere online that does grass-fed, grass-finished beef fat in big chunks, and I put them in my air fryer. It made them crispier. I know Dr. Kiltz is cringing here because you should eat the fat raw, but
I love it that way too, by the way. I'm not telling you, that is fun. Yeah, I love it.
so I did that because that was palatable to me at the time. As I started eating more and more fat, I don't have to cook it as much. I enjoy feeling the juiciness of the fat. But at the beginning, I did have it quite crispy. And that worked out really well for me. And I think I read that you're supposed to not go too crazy with the amount, but I could eat 100 grams of fat a day. I think I was eating, which felt about right for my weight. And I could go from 100 to 150 grams of fat, which seems like about right for me. The days I was hungry, I had a little bit more. The days I wasn't so hungry, a little bit less.
Last question,
and then giveaway. Okay, Stephanie Boyd for Stephanie. What is your fat protein ratio? Do you add butter or rely solely on fatty meat? What is a sample day of eating for you? I'm 68 and I'm trying to get more fat without gaining weight.
Well, Stephanie, I was the same. I wanted to eat more fat. It's easy to eat more fat without gaining weight. My ratio is 100 grams of meat to 35 grams of fat. So basically, for every piece of meat, you want to see a third of that meat as fat. Now, if that meat, you can look at it and see that it already has a third of fat, that's already good. For me, most of the meats I buy do not have a third of fat, so I'm adding additional fat. So if the meat was a lean meat, I would have 100. In my case, I can eat 200 grams of the meat and 70 grams of fat. But if you want to, and I didn't gain weight, and in fact, I lost, only a couple of kilograms, but I lost weight eating more calories, which I know blows people's minds. It still blows mine a little bit, but the calories in, calories out is wrong, as we know. Anyway, I can see that we've gone the hashtag sexy. So
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just preparing. All right, here we go. Here we go. Who's winning today?
What are we getting?
A Kiltz Keto is Carnivore book.
Ooh.
Sharon again. Wow. Good job, Sharon. Good for you. Yay. Please email me at alia@drkiltz.com. Doctor all spelled out. Here, you could be able to see it on the screen. I just put in the chat because I know someone asked where to email. alia@drkiltz.com. Kiltz Keto is Carnivore. Great book. There we go.
I love that book. I love it. It's a very sexy cover.
Did you see the sexy video of Dr. Kiltz talking about entering his 70th year with his shirt off?
Ooh, I need to check this
Go
out.
find it.
Well, appreciative, Stephanie, to Taylor, to what you're doing, and keep doing it. We'll keep all sharing it together. We're getting out to London or England somewhere this year coming up. I know it, and I'm really, again, it was great meeting you. And this is an amazing community, and we invite everyone. And whatever your lifestyle is, I think keto, carnivore, faith, and fasting are sort of so important for all of us. So, yeah. Ali, any other comments or notices?
Oh, yes. Tomorrow, Dr. Kiltz is going to be hanging out with Robin and the Browns in Memphis, Tennessee. That link is on social media. Let's see here. In 1 month, we're going to Nashville and Yuma, and Dr. Kiltz is going to be I'm going to kill him back-to-back podcasts in Nashville, Tennessee. And then we're hanging out in Yuma on the 13th with Tim Berry and the Healing Guy.
Today, I'm interviewing and I'm I'm being interviewed
That's
by
true.
Tammy Peterson.
Tammy Peterson today.
And so make sure you go on to Tammy Peterson's, all of her socials, and like, subscribe, and share. And we're going to have a conversation about faith, fat, and fasting. That's my directive.
And I'm going to put Tammy Peterson's YouTube channel in the
And
chat.
Dr. Nelson, any closing comments?
No, thank you for being here, Stephanie. It was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad to meet you.
It was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Kills earlier and Dr. Nelson. I've loved it. And if anybody does want to get in touch, I'm at Happy Sexy Health on Instagram, and I love talking about anything carnivore, obviously. So you can message me there.
Awesome. Thank you.
God bless
All right,
everyone.
everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.